I welcome you all in the 6th class of Kathopanishad. Yesterday we saw that Yamacharya is telling the Nachiketa about the Brahma, how he can be realized, where he resides, what are the ways to achieve him, because he is the ultimate destination of all human beings. We may say that my target is to get this much amount of money, this much of the land, anything. We can have the cravings for some physical things, but actually whatever destination is, that Yamacharya is telling to Nachiketa that ultimate our destination is to reach to the Brahma. So he is telling him about the Brahma. So today we'll start with the third part of Kathopanishad. Here the Yamacharya describes between the Jnana Kandam and Karam Kandam. Jnana Kandam is the knowledge based and Karam Kandam is the deed based. So one thing here comes is we perform our duties, we do the deeds as per our the knowledge. If we have a higher level of knowledge, we do the actions according to him, and if we have lower level of knowledge, we'll do the actions according to that knowledge. So that's why they say the highest level of knowledge, it should be attained maybe by the help of shastras, maybe by help of gurus, maybe by help of the rishis and munis, so that we can achieve the ultimate destination. Ultimate target of achievement is the Brahma only. So what the Nachiketa is informed by the Yamacharya is यस्य ब्रह्म च क्षत्रम चोभे भवत ओदनः मृत्युर्यस्योपसेचनम क इत्था वेद यत्र सह यस्य ब्रह्म च क्षत्रम. What the Yamacharya is telling, that those who have the expert knowledge about the shastras, about the word, about the universe, about the Brahma, say that the Panchagni, the Karam Kandi people prefer the Panchagni. Panchagni is the Panch Yajna, which the Maharishi Dayananda has told the Dev Yaj, Brahma Yaj, Dev Yaj, Atithi Yaj, Pitri Yaj and Baliveshwa Dev Yaj. So these are called the Pancha Agni. And Jnana Kandis devoted their life to the three Nachiketagni. Three Nachiketagni we have already read about the bridge from Brahmacharya to Grihastha to Vanprastha and Vanprastha to Sannyasa. So three Nachiketa Agnis, it's ceremonized by the Yamacharya, are distanced as the shade and heat of the sun. When we see there is the sun is there, some shade is there, some heat is there. So what we prefer? We prefer as per our requirement. When winter season is there, we prefer the heat. When the summer is there, we prefer the shade. So what is our requirement? The Yamacharya is telling that he who is engaged in superficial yajans, the Panchagni, superficial, not very depth, he is involved, and he is engaged in the shade. He is counted in the shade. Devotion to three Nachiketagni in reality is the devotion to true brightness. If we devote our life to the three Nachiketa Agni. So each from their viewpoint of view is inhale some truth, somewhat truthfulness each one will achieve. So both are engaged in that element which they think is the real knowledge. Both enter in the cavern of ultimate excellence of wisdom. However, the difference between Karam Kandi and Jnana Kandi is very much clear, that the Jnana Kandi follow the Panchagni, Mahayajyam, and the Karam Kandi follows the three Nachiket Agni. So, in next they say, Ritam pibanto sukritasya loke guham pravishto parme parardhe chaya tapo brahmvido vadanti Panchagneo ye cha trinachiketa. What they say? Here the two words came. One is Rit and one is Sat. Sat is the truth, and the Rit we can say is the absolute truth. Absolute truth can never be changed. It cannot be modified. It cannot be translated. It cannot be converted into some other words. The Rit are the ultimate truth, the absolute truth. Just like sun rises in the east. This is the Rit. It will remain the absolute truth till this universe exists. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. and the Satya is the truth. Truth sometimes, today is truth, tomorrow it may not be truth. Just like I take my lunch at 1 p.m. I every day take my lunch at 1 p.m. So this is truth, and I am telling the truth that every day I take my lunch at 1 p.m. But sometimes there is some emergency, some guest came to the house, or I am traveling. I may not take at the 1 p.m. So this is truth, but this is not the truth. So this is the difference between ritam pibanto sukritasya loke. So what the Yamacharya wants to tell, that Rit and Satya emerge from most pious Brahma. From Brahma, the Rit and Satya, two things are coming. So Rit means absolute truth and Satya is the truth, relative truth we can say, as compared to each other. Relative, in physics we write the relative motion and relative motion. When two balls are moving, then their relative motion, one is faster, one is slow. So Satya we can say is the relative truth. So Satya can be changed according to the circumstances, but Rit doesn't depend on any of the circumstances. So what the Nachiketa has told about is that who are engaged in the yajna offering, like the Panch Mahayajna and the people who are doing, because they desire to cross the ocean of life. That is why they are very pious, they are very religious, and they are performing Panchaganis to reach out to the other side, desiring freedom and knowledge of ultimate Brahma. They want to know, that's why they are performing all the Panchaganis. The real bridge of them for them is not the Karma Kanda. So, what is the Nachiketa Agni? That is the Jnana Kandam. Jnana Kandam is the Nachiketa Agni, the knowledge part which they are telling. So, then they say, Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi, Shariram Rathamevatu, Buddhim Tum Sarathim Vidhi, Manha Pragamevacha. Atma is the charioteer, and the master is the chariot. Okay? And body is the chariot, just you can see behind me, and the intellect is the charioteer. So the keeper, the mind of the ring. So what they say is, Indriyani hayanahur vishyasteshu gocharan atmendriya manoyuktam bhokte tayahur manishinaham. What they say in the fourth one, the organs of the senses, eyes, ears, skin, nose, these mouth, the tongue, these are the senses. These organ of senses are the horses to the chariot. And worldly players of senses are the pathways where the organs of the senses run, like the horses. So wise people state that when Atma, senses and mind, they do in one Atma, then the senses and Atma, mind and the senses, when these all three work in harmony, then the man is termed as Bhokta. Because when the soul leaves the body, the dead body is not called the Bhokta, because there is no attachment of the Manasa with the Atma. So this connection should be there, then only it's the Bhokta, senses, Man, the mind and the Atma. Yastu Vijyan Vanav Bhavya Yuktena Manasa Sada Tasya Indriyani Avashyani Dushta Ashwa Iv Sarathehi. What they are telling, whoever is devoid of knowledge. Lastly they said, who is having the knowledge. Now they are telling, who is devoid of knowledge, his mind will always be disjointed by the Atma. We can see like this, when in a house there is a one electricity meter. So from electricity meter, the electricity comes to the tube light. From tube light, some connection is with the switchboard. So when this connection is lost, then what will happen? You keep on putting the switch on, off, the light won't blew up. So the same way, when the senses are going at its own, there is no connection between Manasa and Atma, so the wrong path will be taken by the horses. Horses are the senses, sense organs. So his senses are not under control, then what will happen? Just as wicked horses, they will go at its own, and they won't be under the control of the charioteer. So then there will be a mess of the life. This the Yamacharya wants to tell. Then yastu vijyavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada tasya indriyani vashyani sadashva iva sarathe. But he's telling, whosoever has attained the exceptional knowledge, the highest level of the knowledge, whose mind is in harmony with the Atma, there is no disjoint. The main electricity meter and the tube light has got the connection. Harmony is with the Atma, his senses are under control. And then just like good horses are under control of the charioteer. So this way his life will be very disciplined, and he will prove himself worthy to attain the Brahma. Then the seventh. So the two things they have, the Rishi has explained. One, whose horses are under control, and second, whose horses are not under his control. So who is devoid of knowledge, whose mind is not connected with the Atma, who is always thinking of unholy actions, the charioteer, the horses won't be under his control, and the horses won't lead him to the righteous path. The seventh, yastu vijyavan bhavtir manyaskah sada shuchihi na satat padamapnoti sansaram chadigacchati. Yastu vijyanvan bhavati. What he is telling, that who is manaska sadashuchi, who is always thinking of unholy thoughts, which are not good thoughts, he cannot achieve the highest status of knowledge. Why? Because their Atma become master which drive the chariot. The horses then become the masters of his chariot. They are not under the control of Atma. The horses become the master of the chariot and lead him astray in the world. He gets entangled in the cycle of birth and death. He is not released from the cycle of birth and death. So, who is the master of chariot? That matters, whether Atma or the horses, the sense organs. Yastu vijyanvan bhavati samanaskah sada shuchihi sa tu tat padam apnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate. Whosoever is endowed with the perfect knowledge, whose Atma is not as closely connected with the mind, but the mind is attached to the Atma. Just like we don't hold the hand of the God. We want God to hold our hand. So when the question comes, why the Father should hold our hand, we should not hold the hand, because we have smaller hand, we have less strength. We may get diverted from our path, but when Father hold our hand, or when the God hold our hand, we won't be lost. So that's why they say, when mind is attached to the Atma, who reflects on the virtuous truth, he realizes that exalted status of the knowledge, thereby saying he will be clearing the cycle of birth and death. So the master should be, who is the master of the chariot? That matters. That matters, that who is holding the reins of the chariot, and whether the horses are under control of the charioteer or not. Vijyanasarthirastu manah pragrahvanarah sodhvana paramapnoti tad vishno paramam padam. He whose skills acquired by the education is the charioteer, who holds the rein of mind under the control. He gets across this path of the world, and he finds the ultimate shelter, the ultimate abode of the preserver in the universe, and he grasps the awareness of omnipresence of God, who is holding the utmost level of the knowledge, who that only can be prove himself to have darshan of God, who have the darshan of Brahma. Indriyebhye prahyartha arthe bhayascha param manah manasastu para buddhir buddheratma mahan parah. In the world within, There is one world in our body and one world is outside. So what is within, they say it's microcosm. One is macrocosm, the universe, and one is the microcosm. Yatha pinde tatha brahmande. Yatha brahmande tatha pinde. So Brahmand is the universe, that is the macrocosm, and the inside body is the microcosm. So in the world within there is pind, which we can say the microcosm. The organs of the senses in relation to their worldly players, like image, taste, smell, touch, sound, they are distant. And the organs of senses are visible, but these are not visible. The organs are visible, but the touch, the vision, these things are not visible. These are not sensible. The organs of sense are outward, apparent, they are subtle. Just like whenever we open our eyes, they see outwards. But when we close our eyes, to go inside, we need to put some effort. Otherwise, all the senses are apparent openly towards the outward. They are the outward. So the mind is beyond reach as compared to the sensual players. The mind is behind the senses. Here are the five senses. Here are the five senses, and here are the five subjects of the senses. Behind the senses there is mind. Behind the mind there is wisdom, and behind the wisdom there is Atma. So Atma instructs the buddhi, the wisdom, what to do, what not to do. And the manasa always gives the option, whether to go, whether not to go, whether to eat, what not to eat. Sankalpa vikalpa is the nature of manasa. And then the five sense organs, the eyes take the see, the nose smells, the ear listens, the skin is the touches, and this is giving the taste. So five senses receiving the five subjects, giving to the manasa. Manasa is judging whether to take, whether not to take. Buddhi, the wisdom, is putting the stamp. Oh, this is cold, we can take it. This is hot, we cannot take it. In the instruction of Atma. So this way the cycle goes on. That is explaining they are here. The mind is beyond reach as compared to the sensual players. The intellect is beyond reach as compared to the mind. The function of mind is sankalpa vikalpa, resolve or to find an option. And the function of intellect is to resolve. Yes, this is this. That is the function of buddhi, the wisdom, intellect. So Atma is very much beyond in relation to intellect. So Atma is the ultimate. Atma is bhokta. With the help of wisdom, with the help of buddhi, with the help of manasa, with the help of all the five sense organs, Atma is bhokta. He is taking all the subjects from the outward world. And when we want to go inside, then we need to put an effort. In this they say, Indriye bhe prahyartha arthe bhayishch param mana manasastu para buddhir atma mahan para. This is the 10th. 11th one. Mahta param vayaktam avyaktat purushah parah purushanna param kinchit sa kashtha sa paragatihi. Mahatta. The outer word. Now they are telling about the outer word. How is the outer word exist? The outer word is called the macrocosm. So it has two features. One is visible, which we can say is the vyakt, which is visible. The sun is visible, the moon is visible, trees are visible. This is the vyakt. And avyakt is which is not seen, which we can say as the prakriti. And what we can see is the vikriti. These are the Sanskrit words. I think I cannot translate these things. So Vikriti and Prakriti. So the other invisible is which was earlier than the visible. Like we can see like this, that in the soil the pot is invisible. But when the pot makers makes a pot, then pot becomes visible. So pot is Vikriti and the soil is Prakriti. So before pot is coming in front of us, it was invisible, and with the help of pot maker, the pot has become visible. Then when pot will break, it will again into the soil. So this way cycle, Vikriti, Prakriti, Vikriti, then again Prakriti. The same thing they are telling. The other invisible, the Prakriti, they can be divided into Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, three parts. So we can say life, passion, and ignorance. We are in state of equilibrium. It is called prakriti. There is no movement. Like soil is there, there is no movement. But when we want to make a pot, there will be some efforts. We'll put water, we'll mix it, then we will put in some instruments, then only pot will come. So this is the stage of prakriti, when there is no movement, everything is very silent, equilibrium. This is called prakriti. The invisible, the outer world, is beyond the reach of visible. The invisible is beyond our reach, beyond the visible. Visible is first, then is invisible. And the Supreme Spirit, God, is much more beyond the invisible. So how we can see is, first is visible, the what we can see. Then is the invisible, the prakriti. Then is the God. So God is farther, God is away. Mahan para, they say na. Mahan para, very far away. Then they say is beyond, there is nothing beyond Purusha God. Then you can say after the God, after the Purusha, after the Brahma, there is something. No, there is, that is Paragati. God, that is the limit, that is the final boundary where one can travel. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 42nd verse is also saying the same thing. The Brahma is the Paragati. Beyond Brahma, nothing is there. So, this is the 11th one. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudhatma na prakashate drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshamaya sukshamadarshibhihi. What they are saying? Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudho atma na prakashate. It's not visible, it's not open to all. What he is saying, God is hidden in this creation of visible. He is hidden in between the invisible. How we can say is, like two sandwiches there, and we put a very thin layer of jam, very thin layer of butter or jam. So, and when we close there only two toasts are visible. We never know whether it's jam or not. Sometimes when we were child, we used to open and see whether mama has put butter or jam or what it is. So it's not visible. This is just sort of an example we can understand that God is hidden between the invisible, between the visible, and is the God is hidden in the visible, and invisible word doesn't reveal. Invisible doesn't reveal. Those within a keen mind and intelligence and intellect, with foresight and subtle wisdom, they can perceive him. Like if someone is very good sense, we can just sense, oh, butter is there in between the sandwich. Okay, or we can see very minutely, say, oh, red color jam is there between the sandwich. So the way we can know that who has the keen mind and intelligence, they can only see that there is they can see the invisible behind the visible. So this is the 12th shloka. 13th. Yachedvang manasi prajas tadjech jnana atmani jnanmatmani mahati niyached yache chantam atmani. What they are telling is, actually Yamacharya is telling the Nachiketa that he should hold the string of senses in pinned in the microcosm and move ahead, use his intelligence and wisdom, and hold to the string of 5 elements of nature. Like in Sankhya Darshana, we have understood this thing. 5 senses are made up of 5 elements. 5 elements. Like the ears are from sky, this is from fire, this is from air, wind, then tongue is from the jalam, the water. So this way, all 5 elements, each of the sense organ is associated with one of the element. So what the Nachiketa has been told, that 5 brains, the 5 forces of sense organs should be controlled by the mind, by the intellect. and this way he can control the macrocosmos. So yatha pinde tatha brahmande, that thing only is mentioning. Whosoever proceeds in this manner, he will sight the Atma, he will sight the Atma hidden behind the senses of five senses, and God hidden behind the nature. Soul hidden behind the senses and God hidden behind the nature. Now the journey of life where Atma is the chariot, the body is the chariot, and the organs of the senses are the horses. These are the four reaching Atma in Pind and God in Brahman. We haven't yet on the path of that journey, so we need to see when we will be on the path of the journey to see the Brahm behind the nature. Before that, what we should do, we should hold the reins of five sense organs, and then only we can see the Atma behind the sense organs. Then next they say, Yadechwang manasi prajas. Who is the learned or the wise man should intently concentrate on the senses. What my senses want. All the time they are wanting some of the subjects. Now, all the senses need. Eye always want to see. Ear always want to listen. The tongue always want to have something. So what my senses are doing, he should know, he should find out. Like speech, the mind, and connect them with the enlightened soul. Just like we see, the senses should be connected with the mind, then with the wisdom and the enlightened soul. Jnana Atma, what you can see, it's the Jnana Atma. Connect the Jnana Atma to the noble soul. Noble soul is the Mahan Atma. And connect Mahan Atma to the Shantatma, the tranquil soul. What is the meaning of Jnanatma, Mahanatma, and Shantatma? That there is knowledge, we say Jnanam is the knowledge, as well as the ignorance is the Ajnanam in the world. So the senses and the mind can connect with the knowledge as well as the ignorance. They have the choice, whether we want knowledge or whether we want the ignorance. Connecting with the ignorance is to proceed towards the avidya, towards the ajnan, towards the prayer path. There are two paths, prayer path and shreya path. So when we follow the senses, then we go on the prayer path, towards the prayer. Connecting with the knowledge is to go towards the shreya path, towards the vidya. So man move towards the path of progress where he connects knowledge with his Atma. Knowledge with his Atma, he is on the Shreya path, not on the ignorance. That is what is meant by connecting the Jnana Atma. When Atma is connected to the knowledge, then Atma finds the peace. It is called Shantatma. Therefore, the upliftment of the Atma, there are three sequences. First, achieve the Jnanatma. Jnanatma with the Mahanatma. And Mahanatma, when get the knowledge, he feels that tranquilization, it becomes the Shantatma. उत्तिष्ठ जागृत प्राप्य वरानि बोधत क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्या दुर्गम पथस्त कव्यो वदन्ति. Rise, awake, uttisht. Rise, awake and seek the shelter of enlightened people who have gone on this path. They are blessed by the God and gain the knowledge of Brahm from them. Just get up and see and go to gurus and enlightened souls who have achieved the Brahma. This path is like sharp edge dagger. It's very sharp, sword we can say, the dagger we can say, and it's difficult to cross over. It's not very easy to find an enlightened guru, and then it's also not very easy to find that they will be ready to give the knowledge to you. Because whenever you are ready, when Nachiketa was ready, then only Yamacharya is giving him so much of knowledge, so much of jnanam. So we must have this much of punya karma. We should have a pure mind so that we can achieve, we can seek the guru with the knowledge. Say the path is like a sharp-edged dagger, hence difficult to cross over. The poets relate that path is difficult to grasp. This is very difficult. Then he is describing about the Atma. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam, tatharasam, nityam, gandhavachayat, anadyanantam, mahata param dhruvam, nichai tan mrityur mukhat pramuchyate. What is telling? There is no speech, no touch, no shape, no taste, and no smell, and no birth, no decay. He is eternal, ever existent. Regarding the Parabrahm, he is eternal. He is beyond all these subject and five senses. He is eternal. He is ever existent, and he is infinite, eminent and beyond all, and is firm, steady, and omniscient. He's not a weak and doesn't have any power. No, he's omniscient. And when man realizes him for sure, he then released from the mouth of death. This is the only way when we can be released from the mouth of death. Otherwise, we'll be in the cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death over the years and years, centuries and centuries. The Antim Shloka. नाचिकेतम उपाख्यानम मृत्यु प्रोक्तम सनातनम उक्त्वा श्रुत्वा च मेधावी ब्रह्मलोके महीयते. Very beautiful. Medhavi Brahmaloke Mahiyate. This is an ancient anecdote about the Nachiketa. Mrityu has narrated this all to Nachiketa. Whoever the intelligent person narrates this and listens to this reaches an exalted state of the mind, exalted state in the Brahmaloka. य इमं परमं गुह्यं श्रावेद ब्रह्म संसदि प्रयता श्राद्ध काले वा तदा अनंत्याय कल्पते तदा अनंत्याय कल्पते. This is the end. At the end, there is a in many Upanishads we will find 2 times they say tadantyay kalpate tadanantayay kalpate iti. In the gathering of scholars with spiritual wisdom, whoever narrates this perfectly mysterious anecdote with attentive mind, either going himself in the gathering or inviting with the reverence at his place, he is rewarded infinitely, rewarded infinitely. Whosoever is telling this story of Nachiketa and Mrityu, the Yamaraj, he will be with the reverence at his place. If he is invited to tell, he is rewarded infinitely. He is rewarded infinitely. So today we completed the 3rd part of Kathopanishad. We chant Om once. Om